All right, welcome to the next episode of Discipline, Desire, Dedication. My name's Dakota Lang, along co-host Garrett Cotton. We have a solar whiz here with us, Mr. Ian Chamberlain. What's up, brother?
Not much. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Glad to be able to meet you. Been seeing you on social media a lot. Just never got to meet you in person. So,
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Let's just kind of jump right into it. Kind of tell, a short, brief summary on who you are, where you're from, and what exactly you do.
Yeah, so I'm Ian Chamberlain. I knock doors. I do solar. And I started off initially thinking I was going to go into the medical field. Mm-hmm. Got into sales, changed my life, sold refrigerators and appliances for my first year and a half, found door-to-door, absolutely loved it. Mm-hmm. And then my first door-to-door company went out of business. It was a pest control sub-dealer. So I stumbled across solar, started a dealership, and the rest is kind of history.
Yeah. How long have you been in solar?
It's been about 5 years.
5 years? Okay. How long did you sell the appliances?
It was a year and a half. It was actually just down the street. It was
really?
R.C. Willie. Yeah.
Dang, okay. Yeah. Okay. Did you go to college?
I was going to college. And that was the appliance job was kind of helping to pay for it.
Okay.
And I kind of started doing the math after a little bit, and I was like, okay, I'm making more money from my appliance sales job than with the medical degree I was trying to get. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, maybe I should pivot.
As a kid, were you always chasing financial freedom or generational wealth? Was that always a goal of yours, or was it just kind of you stumbled up and found a good opportunity and just here it was?
That's a good question. I think as a kid, I come from a family where it's my dad owns a real estate company. My parents own a real estate company, and he's done sales for years. Mm-hmm. So I always wanted to be in some sort of business, entrepreneurship role, mm-hmm. but I didn't really think about it a ton as a kid, to be honest.
Well, the reason I asked you that question is because, right, you said you went to college and you were selling appliances, right?
Yeah.
And in my opinion, and I know Cotton can vouch for this as well because he was, working in fine dining a little bit, did the hospice company.
Yeah.
And while I was I started my own lawn care business whenever I was younger. So I was always trying to find a way to create financial freedom in a sense, right? And one thing that I love when people say stories like that, as far as you started off doing this and then you found this and then you found that and then now you're here where you are. Yep. And I feel like one thing that separates top producers from just average people in this world is they never stop seeking new opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel like you're one of those people?
Yeah, for sure. It's there's kind of a balance there where it's you have to be very committed to where you're at, but at the same time be mindful of opportunities. Because it's the second you close yourself off to opportunities, things will kind of slip between your fingers. So yeah, there's a balance there, but absolutely agree.
Yeah. You got anything?
Yeah. No, it's kind of have you ever heard about the red car theory? You ever heard that same?
Oh,
before?
yeah.
Yeah, that's the same way that I look about it. Because even in the position we're in now, at Performance Windows, it's a very blessed position because it's something
Absolutely.
we never even knew was possible.
Yeah.
But the idea of opportunity, if it comes just like the wedding venue and stuff like that, it's something to do. Put more on my plate. It's kind of, and even right now, it's funny because I'm reading "You Can't Hurt Me" by David Goggins,
nice.
and
good book.
It's just all for what we do. Mindset's everything, right? So, reading those books, it's I just want to put a new challenge on my plate to see that I can accomplish it.
Sure.
So that's the kind of the way. The money's a byproduct of it, but it's just amazing seeing that we can accomplish the things that are put in front of us.
Yeah.
And working at Chili's, I knew that there was no I was capped at being a bartender. I made more than the managers, right?
Yeah.
And then going into for me, I was very similar going into healthcare.
Okay.
Where I thought healthcare was going to be my route. My mom actually was a part owner in a hospice company.
Okay.
So for me, I was like, well, I don't really have a plan, but she makes good money. I'll just go into her wing and learn the ropes. Well, kind of getting into it, I learned that hospice is not a fun place to work. It is not, especially for somebody eager like me who wants to meet people and network and grow. everybody that I was meeting was kind of on their way out. So
yeah, that's tough.
It was a lot of cool stories and stuff, but I only lasted like 4 months in the industry and then So I worked at Chili's for a little bit, and then I got my call for door to door. And 2 weeks later, I was out here. But it's opened a lot of doors for us. But it's like the red car theory. We're always looking for that opportunity. If we're not looking for it, it'll pass us by every single day.
100%.
So it's been amazing.
Yeah.
How long were you in pest control? Was it just one summer?
No, it was 2 years.
2 years.
Correct.
It wasn't a summer gig? It was like a year-round pest control?
So it was a summer gig, but I was recruiting and selling in the off season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That is true. You'll still have to like build your teams and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So whenever y'all did the transition to solar, did you bring your teams with you from the pest control or?
Yeah. So pest control, my second year was my first year managing, and I was god awful.
Really?
So yeah, it was super
It's a learning
bad.
process. You gotta learn how to lead.
And it was like I was very, very good at sales at that point. I'd been doing it for a couple of years, and I went and recruited 20, 30 guys, like all my buddies.
Yeah.
And we went out to like Colorado, and I realized really quickly that having the ability to sell does not mean you have the ability to train. Those are two different skill sets entirely. So I basically lost my entire team.
Really?
Yeah, and the company went out of business. So a lot of those guys just scattered. They just went different places. Okay. I've got one of those reps that's still with me, but everybody else went on their own way. So I had to start over when I came into solar.
Yeah, they kind of got a bad taste from the
yes. And I don't blame them. I was not.
What was one of the I guess you could say biggest lessons that you learned going through that challenge, right? You get to build up this team and then it completely, goes away.
Yeah, so much of it is like the foundation, and it's like making sure that you're super strategic with how you build. Because I just happened to find like a sub dealer of like a company, so it was like a dealer underneath a dealer. There was no support. There were no other managers out there.
That was going to be my follow-up question. Is did you have the right mentors in place to help you succeed?
I had nothing going, and it's like I put myself in a position where it was super, super difficult to succeed. And it's like we were just talking, you were saying that like you bring people out to work with you and they live with you for 2 months. Like they are put into an environment where it's like success is the default.
It's controlled. Yeah.
I was in an environment where it was like, if I succeeded, it would have been like against the odds.
Really?
But it's like looking back, I'm like, okay, that was a mistake and it wasn't strategic on my part. And I wasn't the manager they needed. And I needed to surround myself with people who were super high level so that I could kind of learn what they did to actually train their reps and find success in a market.
Yeah. What would you kind of accredit like some of the failures to be? Was it kind of the age group of the people that you were in, kind of like location involved? Like,
no, I was just a bad man.
You were just bad.
I was like, I didn't have the systems, and it's like I was very motivated to like go out and like sell. I didn't know how to hold the reps accountable. I could go out there and I was really good at overcoming objections. And like I like naturally was able to do that, but I couldn't teach a rep to do it.
Yeah.
So, and I just hadn't seen that like skill like passed from one person to another. So it was a great market. The reps I had have gone on to be some dogs in the industry. So it wasn't the reps. It solely landed on my shoulders as I wasn't the manager they needed at the time.
And then with your solar business, what were the biggest changes that you implemented going in? Do you think it was the people in the room, or what do you think were the biggest changes? Yeah,
so after that, I kind of evaluated things, and I was like, okay, I just need to like go learn from somebody who's incredible. And it's like Warren Buffett, for example. Like he went and like spent years with the top investor like of all time. It was, what was the guy's name? Graham. What was his first name? Something Graham. But he went and learned from this guy for like years. And then Warren Buffett went off and did his own thing. But he put himself in a place where he could learn and be super successful. He didn't try to go do it on his own. So I found the top guy in the solar space. He was selling twice as much as anyone else at the top company. And I was like, hey, dude, like, let me come learn from you. Like, I want to see what you're doing.
Yep.
So he mentored me for a year. I worked with him hand in hand, and it completely changed everything for me.
Do you still have ties with that person?
Yeah, we were just texting last night. We're both at different companies now, so we try to recruit each other all the time over to the other person's company, but we grab lunch all the time. He's cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, it's kind of, for us, we learned the process by doing, but now that I've seen a business run smoothly and how it's supposed to run, I've learned that it's not about going out and figuring out a new way to be successful.
Yeah.
It's replicating what has already been done. Because somebody's done it before us, and I love the motto of, in order to be successful, you got to be first or you got to be different.
Oh, yeah.
And so the reality of it is like, for Performance Windows, we're not the first window company, but we're different. We have our vision is different. we see it going so much bigger.
Nice.
Recruiting and what we put into our commitment is different.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. If we ever take it from here, it's going to be, leaning on the people above us.
Yeah,
sure.
that makes sense.
I love when you said the biggest thing is you didn't know how to hold your reps accountable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because with the leadership roles that we're both in currently, and obviously yourself, that is one of the biggest challenges that you go through on a day-to-day basis, right? Figuring out, because everybody's different, right? All reps, they learn different. They react to how you coach differently, right?
Yep.
What are some of the practices that you do as far as holding your reps accountable?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, and there's a lot that goes into that. And I had a mentor who kind of broke this down for me, and he kind of he's very much into the mental aspect of like door to door and the consistency side. Because it's super easy to teach somebody a skill. Once you learn how to teach a skill, like you give them the script, teach them how to knock the door. Mm-hmm. But it's like, how do you get them to find success month after month after month?
Right.
And that's where it's like you go from being like a low-level manager to a really, really good leader. Mm. And that really boils down to creating an identity for your reps, instilling different values and beliefs in them. Because it's like you'll have reps where it's like, for instance, we recruited this guy from Sunrun. He was doing 5 or 6 accounts a month. He came over to us. First 2 months, nothing changed. And then his third month, he did 34 accounts in a month. And it's like his sales volume just went through the roof. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a different pitch. It wasn't like a new sales process or objection handles. We just instilled a different belief. That's right. A lot of what we do is it's like we get these reps to start looking at themselves differently. Mm-hmm. And that's done in correlation. And it's done like working with them one-on-one.
100%.
And it's like there are a lot of accountability things that you have to have in place. Like to your question, you have to have like certain standards where it's like they have to hit this, they have to do this, they have to like do all of these different metrics. And that will get them to a certain point. But to get them to really break through, it's kind of cracking that code of identity and those values and beliefs.
And that's what I love that you say that, because that's where we see a fast track on accountability by putting them in my house.
Yes,
because it's a controlled environment. They eliminate distractions. They only see success. But the biggest point is that it's not teaching them to sell. It's changing anybody. I can change anybody's setting. I can pick you up and put you anywhere in the country. When you change up here is when you're going to start to have success. And that's correct. 2 months of being in somebody's house. It's 60 days of only talking about what I talk about, only talking about growth, only talking about the vision. And over that course of 60 days, that's why, I mean, in a sense, it's kind of like holding a standard in an office, except for we bring the office home. We never turn the TV off. It is always running. It works though.
Changes the way they look at themselves, because like you guys are absolute dogs on like the sales side of things.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a secret pitch?
No. Same exact script as the other guys.
Do you guys go to a secret area where everybody just says yes?
You can drop me anywhere in the world. I will sell windows.
You guys have the same exact pitch. Mm-hmm. You guys sell the same process as what you train your reps.
Yep.
But you guys step out into the field and you guys have a different level of confidence.
Yep.
You guys have a different self-image. And because of that, it reflects when you knock on like a customer's door. They see that you're not the same as like these other reps who have a very low self-image. And at the first no, they turn away and they just walk down the street with their tail tucked between their legs. You guys like handle things differently. So it's like, how do you replicate that with reps? And that was a big breakthrough. And it's been something that's definitely elevated our teams and given us a lot of very, very high producers and performers.
Yeah.
I feel like the thing that separates, like you said, like us and some other reps that knock the same doors that don't have the same results, right? And it just simply comes down to your own vision.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't have the vision to go out there and know why you're doing what you're doing, then it's just going to be a job to you and just going to be you're out there knocking doors. But
correct.
If you know that there's a purpose behind what you're doing, then you can accomplish anything that you want to accomplish.
Yeah, 100%. And that's something, the whole why thing is so interesting because it's like a lot of what we do is, and you guys probably see this because you recruit people from your home state where there wasn't really this whole sales thing going on. And a lot of these guys, their vision was like, hey, I want to become an operator and make $90,000 or $100,000.
Yep.
So it's instilling that vision into people. And as a leader, it's kind of opening them up to the possibilities that are actually out there.
Yeah.
So, but once you crack that and you give somebody vision and they've never really had that before, you'll see a whole different level of performance.
Yep. And it's a lot of self-doubt they deal with because it's like for us, everybody thinks it's a scam.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
I've lost friends because they're like tired of seeing me post stuff on Instagram, that kind of stuff. But the reality of it is that it's an opportunity that we see. It's an opportunity that we were given the opportunity to give others, so it's helping us to grow our business and stuff. And it's amazing the experience that we've had in it so far. But it's so funny though because everybody that has came out here to do the door-to-door, like there's only been like one or two people ever not stick it out, and those are the ones who couldn't get behind the belief.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And like for instance, they'd come in and they'd go home for a dentist appointment. I'm like, bro, there's a dentist right here in Denver. Why you got to go to Louisiana for that?
Yeah.
But it's just the level of commitment. The people who come up here and commit, burn the boats, they're going to see success. But
that's a huge thing.
From doing it in performance windows now, I truly feel like I could have success in any industry. Because I understand the thought process that goes behind success. And if you can get behind the right thought process, then you're bound to have success. It's just win.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about your state, your mindset that goes into it, all of that. And then to your point of losing friends from posting, if you don't have people who are haters or just people who do not approve of what you're doing, then you're probably not making enough noise or doing enough. So that's a good sign that you're on the right track. Because it's like just doing anything in life, somebody's going to have an issue with it.
Absolutely.
And it's like the more haters you have, it kind of just shows that it's like you're actually out there making noise and doing something with your life. So that's a good thing.
I feel like it's intimidation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's jealousy.
Yeah.
Seriously.
One question I have, so right now you're balancing currently solar and the AI project, right? So which one are you putting more time into currently?
Solar.
Solar is still?
Yes.
So this is kind of just like a back burner, letting it grow in the shadows a little bit?
Yeah, and it's still new, and we've been able to kind of place some people who are extremely good at what they're doing.
Yeah.
So like they're in there. We've got people who are handling sales, and a lot of what we're doing is kind of just structuring the business. So it's not as time intensive as solar.
That's good. Now. Yeah, and it's not like a physical job that you got to be at. It's
correct.
In a sense, it's the thought process that goes into it.
Yeah, we've done a couple events where it's like we go out to a place and we have booths and stuff, but we don't have like an office where it's like every day we have to be there from like 9 to 5.
Okay. And then for your solar company, are y'all like a blitz company? Do y'all do a lot of blitzes, or do y'all have like brick and mortar?
Yeah, so we've it's mostly like year-round markets, but we have blitzing teams, and I chuckle because it's like whenever you go on a blitz, it's so much fun, and it's like the craziest memories ever.
We've done like from Denver, we'll go a blitz to Fort Collins.
Okay.
Because Fort Collins is a prime market for windows. Like, I don't know if you've knocked solar there, but it is like we did over $1 million in revenue in 3 weeks. Like just boom.
Holy cow.
Went out there and it was just insane. But we'll do blitzes out there. We call them blitzes, but everybody can go home at the end of the night.
Sure.
But I love it, though. We spike revenue because everybody's so involved when they're out in the hood.
Yeah.
Because you can't go home and go get your lunch. You have to go get lunch with the crew. So it is a lot of fun where I could see that.
Yeah.
I can only imagine. Do y'all do like a Airbnb house like for everybody type deal?
Yeah. We'll do that. I mean, so we've had a bunch of different strategies, and it's like right now we've got people who run these different markets. So they'll kind of have their own unique like spin on things.
Yeah.
So we've got a few teams that are like primarily like dialers.
Okay.
So they'll have people who like dial and they set appointments over the phone, and then closers just go and close them. And then we have teams where it's blitzes. We have teams where it's like year-round market and they just knock. So it kind of just depends on what the manager wants.
For those businesess, hiring and stuff, do y'all deal with Indeed and like do like the freebie recruits? I always like to call them?
Yeah.
So really and truly, it's basically the same exact business as Windows. Like the way that it's built out and stuff, it's
very similar. Very similar.
Same process. Yeah, and I feel like that's what we're learning too. Is like as the company's growing, we're putting more people in place to be more work off the market owners. Is what we call them. Like we used to have to do window ordering, and we used to have to do retail appointments where people call into the office. But now we've hired people to take all that headache off of us, to where the person leading the office is only sales managed.
That's a good move.
And when they can go out there and the person in charge of the office is the most invested in the office, the culture just stays high.
Yeah,
yes,
like you were talking about standards. That's all it comes down to. How much longer you want to be in the solar industry?
Hopefully for the next 10 to 15 years. I personally really like the space. I love the product. I think it's just a unique time where it's like people can kind of take control over their utility bills. So personally, I love it. So I have no plans of getting out of the solar space.
That's awesome.
We always kind of say it's like, well, we'll ride it until the wave crashes. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the right mindset to have. Like, hey, I'll be in this as long as I possibly can. Because there's so many people who are like, I'm going to get into sales for like 5 to 10 years and I'm going to retire. And then it's like, then I'll start living.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's just the wrong mindset to have.
Never finished.
Yeah. Right. If your destination is 10 years down the road, you're not going to be happy in the present. And it's like, I deal with fires all day long, driving over here, putting out fires. As I leave, I'm going to be putting out fires. And it's like, but I've come to love it. And it's like, I grew up doing like sports and things like that. And it's like, the trials and the pain and the stuff you go through in the moment, it can suck. But when you look back, that's what you have the most fond memories of, is when you push through those things.
Yeah, the worst part of the job is like our favorite part. Now, like even knocking and stuff like that, I look forward to going to get to knock because that's the lowest stress that I have to deal with on a day-to-day. I get to turn my brain off, put on a smile, and just say the script.
Yeah, absolutely.
So much easier than having to like make sure this person's hitting their hours or making sure that this person's going out there and actually working.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's definitely got its perks.
Well, cool deal. Well, Ian Chamberlain on Instagram. People can follow you there.
Yeah, just Ian.Chamberlain. I need to get into posting more consistently.
Yeah.
But I'll start doing that. So
yeah. That's something we were challenging ourselves on, is like making sure like even on the DDD page, right, we have a bunch of reels and stuff like that. Nice. But starting to, get our faces, just post a story just of us. You know what I mean?
And I've seen it. So like good for you guys, because you're putting yourselves out there, and it's like this is a commitment of time. To like come and do stuff like this, to find people. You guys found me on Instagram and just reached out to me. So like kudos to you guys.
It's a learning process.
Yeah, you guys are hustling, and it's like this will pay off big time down the road. You may not see it in the like immediate future, but you'll form connections, and you guys are providing value to people. And your reps can hop on and they can get insight from people in the industry. So big props to you guys for doing that.
Thank you.
This is not like an easy or convenient thing to do, but I have mad respect for both of you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I think we're on like episode, this is probably like almost 50.
Wow. Good for you guys.
A little over a year we've been doing it.
Yeah. Nice.
Consistency, but it's again, we look at it as like one day we'll be on like the 1,000th episode.
Yep.
It'll be worth it.
Yes.
But we like it too.
Well, talk about what Cotton was talking about on the way here. He was like, what's crazy is like you can go to TikTok, Instagram, and guess what? You see Grant Card on Facebook, Grant Card on Reels, like saying randomly to Andy Elliott.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Like all those, and that's just a buttload of content that they've just filmed for years, and then now it just constantly just keeps dropping.
And they can drop old clips and new clips, and they're still producing content today.
Yep.
So at some point, we want to get to the point where, like, when we plan out the podcast and stuff, we have a guy follow us, and we just but just to get our day-to-day conversation, golf course talk, stuff like that, because we're always talking the same type of stuff. It's just different settings.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Alex Ramosi had his podcast for like 3 or 4 years before anybody knew who he was. And the thing is he made so much content and he got so comfortable like talking to a camera. By the time he took off, he was so good at it. So it's like you guys are putting in the legwork, you're getting that, like, your foot in the door. And, just mad props to you guys.
We appreciate it, man.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Well, cool deal. Well, y'all make sure y'all give Ian a follow on Instagram. And if you want to reach out to him, DM him. I know he'd love to talk to you as well. But we'll catch you next time. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.